Hey team, I think we are probably live. Welcome to another Tuesday night Ask Me Anything session. I hope you've had a good week. I have been running all over the place. Happy, busy, kind of exhausted. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it's been a busy week. It really has. A lot of cool things happening, but just a lot happening. And there's hey George, welcome. There's oh man, I love it. Snow in Utah. I'll get the, the pronunciation right of at least some of the places in the States at some point. But yeah, it's man, I just realized today I wrote out a whole list of everything that's going on. I was like, I'm juggling a lot right now. So it's kind of like nice. I got everything set up. I'm online chatting with you beautiful people across the globe, and yeah, it's kind of like this is actually a moment where I get to stop and just answer questions, hopefully provide some value on tonight's session for you, and who knows um, George, my last name's just pronounced Shannon. Just pretend there's no H in the middle, and you should be good, Shannon. Yeah. So yeah, appreciate you being on, team. As always, if there's questions, thoughts, you just want to say hi, feel free to put that in the chat. And also, I kind of, as you know now, I've been creating topics, and I spent until the very small hours last night setting up a pedal board. I dug out my old pedal board and setting that up with the RC300. So it's been it was a really good fun night, really enjoyable once everything's working and programming things in. So hey Travis, absolutely have thought about trying the Headrush looper board. I nearly jumped in there and went with it. There's been some really good updates after the firmware, and I think I've said this before, but at some stage I will have a play and experiment with it. Been chatting about doing that. So and awesome to see more and more good feedback from people that are using it. Different things there. So yeah, it's an awesome piece of kit. I think on a video I did, it might have been I don't know if it was a live session or when I was talking with people about the RC300. I think the probably the Headrush looper board and the Eros from Singular Sound are probably the two best advances I think I've seen in terms of looping for live guitarists. I know there's different things coming out all the time, which is awesome. But they're the two that I think have actually done quite well putting stuff together. Yeah, so and part of the reason for that is my thoughts on it are literally the ins and outs of routing options for what signals are coming in and where it's going out, and the ease of use for live, being able to actually control things. And I think the Eros I'm trying to think what their control button is called. So if someone knows, let me know. It's like it's when I think of it, I'm gonna be like, of course. But it's something with Motract. I don't know. Something. And those two combined, I think, is probably a good option for the control options. When the Headrush first came out, was really very limited controls for starting multiple loops, doing some of the stuff that I've already been doing with the Voice Live 3. So even though it had these 4 inputs and outs that could be separated, I couldn't do what I was already doing with the Voice Live 3. So Yeah, it's just it's interesting to see what evolves. I'm honestly, personally, I'm still waiting on something that I am really like, oh my gosh, this is the next thing looping wise that I actually want to really get behind. But there's some awesome products out there, and they're all good. They're all good. It's just, I guess, one of those things that it's often about control of when you want to be able to do something a little bit different. So yeah, I was up late last night, rigging up a pedal board, and there's actually a video going up on this channel, just like a channel update. Me checking in. It has a little bit of me building the pedal board in there as well, and I'm gonna just put the pedals that are on there, because for those of you that do have an RC300, I picked up a couple of like the FS6s, but essentially control pedals for the RC300 from Loopy. So I was assigning those and having fun experimenting last night, getting used to it. So yeah, Stephen, hey, how's it going? Could you do a rundown on your rig, mainly which guitar pickup and strings you use, mic, speakers, etc.? Yeah, cool. Also, just because I think this is a timely question, it literally just exported, but just a channel update. And in that, I was like, if you guys have requests for videos, comment them under that video. It'll be up, I don't know, maybe half an hour or something after this live ends. But just because it's awesome being able to chat back and forth on this stuff. But I think sometimes if I actually just make a video, and if enough people kind of like the comment, I'll know that it's probably more useful to a bunch of other people. But I'm kind of looking at that too, just to be able to have things be a bit more useful. And the good thing with me making a video on something specific like this is it will be titled appropriately, so you can go and search and find it. But in saying that, yes, rundown of my rig. My guitar is this Takamine, which it's pretty old now, and I don't know that you'd find one, to be honest. But it's an ND15C, if you want to go and stalk it on the internet. Really like the tone. I loved playing it and the feel of it in the store. Just was like, yep, this is my baby. The biggest thing I don't like is it uses 2 AA batteries in the pickup, and they last, even with the kind of most fancy expensive ones, they last about 8 or 9 hours, which is kind of like 2 full gigs, you know. So mostly using rechargeable batteries in there. In terms, and that's just the standard Takamine pickup. It's a AD1, which again, super old. It's not really available anymore. And I wouldn't go with it as a pickup now. There's better options, I think, available. But yeah, that's the workhorse. And in terms of strings, I use 12 to 53 gauge elixirs, which I really love. And a part of it is, I think for me, it's a case of matching strings to guitars a little bit as well, because someone can come and say, these strings are really bright, they're so good. I'm like, well, my guitar's really bright anyway, naturally. So I don't necessarily want the brightest strings, even though, you know, the person selling you them at the shop might be a raving fan and insist that they sound better. I do think there's a combo of that sort of stuff that, depending on what guitar you're using, different strings can sound better or worse. And then microphone wise, I'm using a Sennheiser E835. It could be an E845. I honestly can't remember. It's so old, it's pretty much faded off. I should go and take a look for you guys and chuck it in somewhere after this video. But that's the mic. I liked it. it doesn't have the presence of an SM58, and it has been something that's on my mind a lot recently. Is I probably will get hold of an SM58, and then it's the beta mic. There's a lot of love inbuilt for that, for a noisier venue that just naturally has the tone in your voice cut out through an audience in a crowd, which if you're recording, you probably don't want so much, if it's going to be played back through speakers or on a kind of like, I don't know whether it's a YouTube video, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's my mic. What did I miss? Guitar, pickup, strings, mic, speakers, etc. So then the other factor in this, I have an AER amp, the Compact Mobile 60, and I really, really love it. And that does give a lot of really nice tone to both the guitar and the vocal. It does. It's a big part of the overall sound I end up with. And I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with it, because I have the battery option. I did a lot of busking with it. It's kind of heavy, and the downside is now I'm doing a lot of looping. The bottom end, it doesn't handle very well, but I still want to run through it to get that tone. So there's various ways around it, but yeah, all of these things require additional setup every time you do a show. And so looking at some of what's come out and what's available in the line array sort of series, where you have a sub and a satellite speaker or system as well, there's a really nice aspect of those being, which I've just been looking at. It's a consideration, because I genuinely take too much gear, and I'm wiring things in an interesting combination of ways. So just in terms of, if I'm going into a house system at a venue, that where I'm doing the sound, it's all just me running everything. I typically go with guitar and vocal into the AER, and so that is like 90% of my sound coming out of that. I use the DI out, so now the vocal and guitar are mixed. So if you were sending it to a house engineer, it's not great. Here's one signal to control. They're usually not going to be stoked with that. But that's for my own shows at a venue where I'm plugging into their system. I do that, and then run into just a little desk to be able to control EQ out to their house system, just to be able to tweak what goes there. And then out of that, a monitor send goes to a sub. So the AER and the sub become like my little foldback combo, and provide a bit of front of house, I guess, as well, depending on the setup and the venue. So, but in saying that, this is like wiring all sorts of different things, and it's a longer setup time, and it means that the bottom end of my guitar is actually still going through it, even when I use an octave effect, which is not great. It doesn't handle it well. Although I've had no issues with the amp itself. So yeah. So I mean, that's like the long version of everything there. But I think there are a lot of nice options now where you can have a mixer built into the back of. I mean, this is for ease of doing solo shows and getting a good sound. A mixer built into the back of a line array system with a sub and a satellite speaker, and out from there straight into a house system and things like that. So again, a little bit like looping and stuff like that, it comes down to your control options. What can you change or not, and where do you need to send it? So, but that's pretty much my standard rig at the moment. Contemplating a change. contemplating a change. So I'll update you when that happens, no doubt. So hey everybody, if you just joined, welcome. Yeah, kind of chatting about some rundown of gear and stuff like that. I spent last night building a pedal board to go with the RC300. So now I literally have like this instead of just the Voice Live 3, right? But I've been really enjoying it and having fun, and it's super nice. But again, somewhere along the way, I will build a pedal board that has everything on it rather than two separate things, which I have at the moment. But it's purely because I already had an old pedal board and I'm just putting them together. So cheers, Stephen. Hey, Vanch Kunwa, is that how I say your name? G? New to the channel, is this discussion more like Elvis or old George Harrison? I have absolutely no idea. I started this in our lockdown in New Zealand, basically making Tuesday night where I jump on, and if anyone has questions that they feel I can help with, that I would make myself available to hang out and chat. And each week it's a little bit different. We've talked about guitar tips and techniques. We've talked about vocal stuff. We've talked about gear and things tonight. A bunch of options around looping and how to put together songs and set lists. But it really is, I really let you guys drive it by questions. And I just seen Paul, hey man, what are your thoughts on babies and flats? Terrifying, mate. I'm looking at and for those of you that don't know, looking at a place at the moment, because I've been roaming around and very grateful to be in all sorts of different places where I'm living this year, but it would be nice to have my own space. So yeah, just going through the hunt for that life update. Cool. So yeah, so feel free to put anything in the comments. If there's something that you would like to know, then absolutely we'll do that. And in the meantime, I titled tonight's thing experimentation a lot, because to be honest, like I feel like that is the whole of my music career. It is starting out, and you learn something and you perform, and you always get feedback, right? So if you learn a new tune and you go and play it, and you play it at a few shows, and you think, seems to be no response, no comments, no messages about it. It's like, okay, maybe that's good song, bad song, who knows? But it's kind of like, then I look at, could I do it this way? Is there something I could change with it? And I think going through the pedal board last night, especially, I was like, I'm gonna get this wrong, right, for the first build, and I'd rather just set things up, get it all running, and have something happening, so I can experiment, start seeing what works in terms of where pedals are on the floor and what doesn't work, and I start realizing, like, how much do I actually use this pedal? Should I put it somewhere else? So for me, I feel like I only find out by doing it, like physically doing it, making it. Hey, Ravi. Dude, congrats on your gig, man. That's awesome. Thanks for letting me know how it went as well. I'm stoked for you, brother. It's awesome. But yeah, I think a lot of this stuff, and like with gigging, I think you do a gig and you experiment, you learn, you get feedback. You're like, okay, it's new. I might change this for next time. Same as we talked about this last week on the live streaming thing, right? Might change this. We might, mix it up and do something different each time. So I think there's a process of not being too concerned to try something out. And all of this stuff that I say, like, I find it such a good reminder for myself, because I think sometimes the perception is when I'm here and I'm chatting and it's like, oh yeah, I've totally got things figured out. It's like, no, not at all. Some things, absolutely. Yep. I've been a full-time musician for 10 years. That's pretty cool. I dig it. It's fun. I've evolved so much over that time period. But also, this is an ongoing progression. And sometimes when I'm answering a question or chatting with you, I literally hear myself saying things that I'm like, oh, that's the best reminder for me right now. It's not like I constantly do everything perfectly and have it all sorted. I make plenty of mistakes and I learn as I go. It's one of the beautiful things of, I think, doing music and kind of being self-employed, if you like. You're able to course correct if you start hitting here and it doesn't work. It's a little, maybe emotionally not so easy, but it's a little bit easier to just say, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm changing tack. So yeah. Thoughts for the Tuesday. That's cool. I love it, Ravi. Hi, Ravi's friend. How's it going? Sweet. Glenn, hey, how's it going? Right, Paul. Yeah, if you wanna build me a board to incorporate the RC300 and all of these beautiful pedals, which will no doubt change and evolve as well. Fun times. Experimentation, right? Taking things in and out. That'd be great. I got sent. Thanks, Matt sent me a link to some beautiful pedals over in Germany. And I'm like, that would be amazing. It's like the pedal board is more than the RC300. So a little bit of thought process going in there on that one. But again, when I've done a bit more experimentation and I'm like, cool, this is a good core set that I'm happy with, then maybe I will treat myself. Ken, Ken, it's I should say, man, I don't think it allows links to be posted. So if you want to just write the name in the live chat, I don't think it allows an actual link to be posted. So if you want to chuck the name of the amp with the built-in looper that you mentioned, that'd be awesome. And then we can go and Google it and stalk it online and look at it. So yeah. Vanch, I hope I've got your name right. What do you think about the growing usage of a relatively new instrument as electric guitars in gospels and spiritual songs? I mean, what's the potential of that from the view of a professional? I'm not quite. I mean, music always evolves. Just has forever, and that's not gonna stop. So I mean, but I genuinely think a lot of that stuff, I think it's awesome if there's new things being introduced, because some people and different ages, especially younger culture, they have we all have different music tastes. So it may be there's a natural expression for them with including different instruments, electric guitars, in old songs and that were more spiritual in nature. And I just think if that's how someone expresses themselves through music and their love and kind of like life force energy, if you want, then I think that's cool. We may not always like it, but I just think it's one of those things that there's always the first person to do something different, or just slightly veer further. And usually it's not the first person, it's like the 17th person, who knows how many. But someone else will get known for it because they really leapt on board and did it. So, but yeah, I think a lot of that stuff, there's there's some songs personally as well that I love, and I don't love the original because it's different instrumentation, it's different singing, but I really connected with a different arrangement and version of it. I'll cue the messages now, but Bob Dylan being one of the biggest ones there. I'm not a fan of listening to him. I love listening to songs he wrote covered by other artists. Yep, here we go with the comments. Yeah, cool. So, Glenn, awesome. Switch 6 on eBay should turn up this week. I'm actually going to make a video this week with the Voice Live 3 just on the options you have with setting up as much looping as you can from the home screen, so that you can start, stop, overdub, erase all from the home screen, which you can map to the Switch 6. Or you can map to the vocal layer. But having the Switch 6 especially means you can have both steps, and you can have switching to the looper layer in one button press. No longer do you need to hold that layer button down for 2 seconds to access the looper. Or the flip side is you lose the steps option if you want to just change between them quickly. So that's cool, man. All right. Ken, Joyo BSK 60 watt acoustic guitar amplifier with built-in battery. Thanks, man. Yeah, maybe we'll take a look. And I'm curious now. I'm going to just copy this and see what we get. I'm always intrigued with like new. Right, I want to. I'm like, I want to see what it's running on top, but cool, man. Inbuilt looper for guitar. Yeah, there's a bunch of. I'd need to take a look at it further, but there's a bunch of these around that have looping inbuilt into the amp, which is super cool. Yeah, just especially in terms of doing like a busking set, and again, gear and that sort of thing, taking it with you, and being, if you don't have power, all those sorts of things. There's hey Grumsh, and much exactly like the album All Things Must Pass was elite. Oh, I have to go and check that out too. It's good. It's like fun I'm like, assignments. I'm still just a kid. I'm like, I'm in school. I have my own assignments, which is looking up all the cool stuff you share with me. I'm like a kid in school that can have coffee. I don't know. To be honest, I started drinking coffee when I was at school. Haven't stopped. So, hey Grumps, good morning. Welcome to the live stream if you've just jumped on. Chatting about all sorts of bits and pieces. It's cool. I like it. In terms of gear, just coming back to before, is anyone running I'm just curious now for myself, is anyone running a line array system? So something like the Bose L1, where you've got a sub, you've got a satellite speaker, and in most cases, you've got a little desk as part of the unit. There's JD, there's Maui, there's RCF, do the JMix 8, which looks pretty nice. Yeah, a bunch of different systems. Just curious if anyone is as their standard Electro Voice are doing. I mean, most places are doing them. JBL have a battery powered option and a powered option as well. All sorts of things. So yeah, curious on if anyone is. If you are, awesome. I'd love to hear what you're running. But hey Julian, RC300 is going great, man. I nearly took it to a show on Sunday, but it will make it to a show this week, which will be fun, super fun to loop through it. There's a video going up on the channel after this live stream. I literally just exported and finished, and I can share it. Just a channel, kind of like a channel update of me having too many things on, being a little bit chaotic, but also building a pedal board, which I hoped I could show you on tonight's live stream, to be honest, but I genuinely just really struggled for time to to get this set up and be here. So we're here, we made it, and it's nice to connect in with you all. But that video has a little bit of me building, digging out my old pedal board and building it, and just how I'm running things with the RC300 at the moment. I'm sweet, cheers, Ken. I'm ignoring the vocal at the moment on the RC300. Like, I don't loop a huge lot. I have the mic switcher all set up, but that's this week's project, is to just see where I end up having the mic coming out when I'm looping, because I wanted to separate out, and I really, really like doing this just for the sound, especially as a solo loop artist. But as out of one channel having the guitar, I'm using the OC3 as the bass, like properly as the bass, not how I've talked about using it before. So it's possible I will buy another Boss OC3, or I have been looking at the Electro Harmonics POG options as well as my bass, and then I can take the Boss OC3 back to being bass and guitar when I'm not looping. If that made absolutely no sense, that's fine. But for those of you that know how I use it, or have watched the video on how I get my kind of bass sound and settings, that's why. But running into each side of the RC300, I've got guitar in one so that it comes out guitar and effects and all that sort of stuff. And then in the like stereo, right, in the right hand side, I have the bass running through it. So when the bass comes out, it actually gets its own EQ applied to it. And there are other ways to do that. I could do it all in the one chain, but I've found that bass, having the bass come out on its own channel, I've found really, really valuable at different venues, because depending on the volume of the gig, the gear you're running through, I've found it super handy to be able to EQ and set the volume for that channel as its completely own instrument, just to get a really, really cool and good sound regardless of what venue I'm in. So super, super fun. You can do this with the RC30 as well. David, welcome. Hi, if you just jumped on, everybody, welcome. Glenn, do you know if you can run a VO3 from a standalone battery pack, 12 volt, 1 amp required? Any you know of? Glenn, I actually have one, but it is up north. A company called MyVolts. If you look them up, I believe it's myvolts.com. Let's see. Now, after saying that you can't put links, I think I'm the only one that can actually share a link. So I'm going to put them in here on the live stream. If you, just carrying on, because I didn't actually tell you any information. There is an option that they have specifically for the Voice Live 3 that will power the Voice Live 3 from a phone, like USB power bank, or obviously you can use, plugged into a standard USB wall charger and that sort of thing. And it's got the reversed pin and everything that actually works. I was looking around somewhere, I have a power bank, but I actually will be collecting it this week, hopefully, because I'm going up north to do a gig. And yeah, that's probably the best option. I know Matt from the distance has worked with them and has run their Voice Live 3 units from that setup. So does work as opposed to a specific battery pack that you'd then plug the standard power adapter and things into. So yeah, as I say, I have one of those adapters. Got sent during all the lockdown. I was moving around the country. It's still up north. Hopefully we'll have it Friday even. So, which is not far away, funnily enough. But right, David, have you ever thought of running a Katana amp? I haven't really looked at them, David, to be honest. I'm constantly torn between having things built in and having single use pedals that are just like, I know this does this really well. Constantly torn, but I don't know much about the Katana amps, to be honest, mate. So another thing for like, I need like David's homework, I'm talking about my homework sort of session, looking up all this stuff. But appreciate it, team. This is I feel like this is kind of Inception, because you guys have the screen on screen, Anyway, I've probably had too much coffee today, to be honest. So if I talk really quickly and don't make a lot of sense on tonight's live stream, that's absolutely why. Hey, Grimsh, got a Katana 100. It's awesome. Sorry to give you homework. Cheers, Glenn. And really affordable. Oh, now I really want to look it up now. Okay. Katana. Oh, hang on. Katana 100. Why is it? I love this. Katana 100, and then on the side the ads are like Vox. Like, it's not what I want. Seems to be two options. Nice. Okay, cool. Definitely. I need to look into it. But yeah, David, I agree with that, man. I feel the same way with the Voice Live 3. And I think, to be honest, on the channel, I do think that's a lot of why a lot of you maybe found the channel here and connected with me, is like using the Voice Live 3. It's a great piece of gear, but there's so much in it. And it really did take a lot of time to learn it. And there's not a lot of, I don't think there is a lot of good information on setting it up and just in a simple way, in a really understandable way. Like, I've got the unit in front of me. I want to be able to do some harmonies. How do I do that? How do I loop from here? Can I change this? Just walking through pretty simply. So, appreciate all of you that have gone through some of that with me, trying to make it a little bit more user friendly for people to get up and running. Combined with the fact that then all the levels from all the different presets are crazily different outputs. When you get the unit, you can't just flick through from one to the next, because you'll go from this very quiet acoustic, like, guitar tone. It can be still driven by an amp or whatever, but to just a crazily loud like lead tone. You're just like, whoa. So so it's sort of like a fun journey, learning and understanding what you can and can't do with each piece of gear, and then manipulating that to how you want to run your show, I guess. Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Awesome idea to be running everything from there, especially with a foot switch. And I mean, that's so much of it, isn't it? I think for all of us, a lot of the time we're like, if it can be as simple as it can, but still capable of doing what we want it to do. So sometimes I think there's a lot of things, like even this pedal board, I'm like, this is way more complicated than it needs to be, but that's the way that I can control and do what I want to do in terms of looping and having things happen. So in that sense, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm happy to have things be a bit more complicated if I get the result I want, rather than just being like, well, it's really simple, but I can't actually do what I want to do. I have to sacrifice a lot. So yeah, fun times. Greetings, welcome. If you've just jumped on, hello. This is Tuesday night live chats, talking a little bit about all sorts of things. And I say this every week, but it really is time. If you guys and girls have questions, you want to pick my brains, if there's something useful you think I can answer, I will absolutely do my best to answer it. Or go away and research it tonight, as I'm going to be doing about all these cool bits of gear that you've suggested. It's kind of a chance for us to hang out and catch up as well, and just connect in the world of live music, looping gigs, being a musician, and all the fun that entails as well. So yeah, appreciate you being here. And for those of you that have just joined as well, there's a video that will go up soon on the channel. It literally just finished exporting. And if you have requests for videos, I'd love it if you commented there. And if there's a request that you also see someone else's request that you think that'd be super handy, just like it. And I'm pretty sure YouTube kind of upvotes them, right? So it'll mean that I can actually make a video on that topic that's going to be useful for a bunch of people, and dive into it. And I've been thinking about it a bit, because obviously on the Patreon I have the option if people want to do the reaction requests. And Chris, if you're watching this, I apologize. It's taken me a very long time to get to Bananarama and look at looping that, but I think it's going to make more sense for me to make a video for you, and then that way the other people are going to be able to get value from it or look at it as well, and just maybe come up with a new loop cover, maybe just a discussion. We probably won't all come up with the same loop cover, to be honest, because there's a lot of things up for discussion in that song on how to get around a few sneaky little sections. So yeah, that literally will be the video to comment and put things in if there's something that's been on your brain. Or you can come out and we can chat, obviously, on these live sessions. The difference being, if you throw me a question right now, if I can answer it straight away, obviously, of course, that'll be awesome. Sometimes though, it's probably more valuable for me to actually be able to film something, walk through step by step how I would approach it, and put that out as a video. So hey Matt, hey Ezekiel, welcome. Yeah, nice. Just replied to a Craigslist to meet up with a duo to see if we can start a trio. Nervous about it, but tired of looping by myself in the garage. Totally, man. It's this. I love looping, as you all know, and there's the beautiful and the downside of it, and that is I do a lot of solo shows now because of looping, and I do miss that aspect of playing with a band, hanging out with people. So can totally relate. Do another hour. Hey, I have coffee. Like, I have an appointment to go to, so probably not, to be honest. But I have coffee and chocolate, so yeah. Otherwise, I'm good. Ezekiel, I would like to ask if possible to do a video of the setup of the Voice Live 3 plus RC300 since I just bought the Voice Live 3. Okay, cool. So, yeah, interestingly, I am going to put the Voice Live 3 aside for a little bit. Yes, it's true. There's a couple of options that I think, and I will be still using the Voice Live 3, but I'm just enjoying basically going back to an old pedal board, having everything adjustable with knobs and dials and individual pedals right in front of me. And Matt, thank you for your assistance with getting up and running with the the RC300. I now have a very interestingly put together pedal board, but I have 2 control switches. That was the wrong thing. I was 2, not 2 control. No, I actually have 2 control switches, which is actually 4 different buttons that I can assign, which is awesome. And I think I'm gonna do a little bit with the RC300. I'm already seeing it a little bit like presets on the Voice Live 3. So in terms of certain songs, being able to have all those different buttons assigned differently is awesome, because I can switch up a memory section and have them be different controls, different settings, depending on what I'm wanting to do with different loop arrangements. But kind of like the Voice Live 3, I expect I'll have my pretty standard that I loop most things with as well. So fun journey, Ezekiel. Yeah, totally. I would say there's probably 2 main options I would consider when connecting. And Matt, if you're on, you probably have more input on this than I. But the 2 things that I would consider is whether your vocal from the Voice Live 3 goes into one of the stereo guitar outputs so that you can keep them on separate channels. And again, this will be different factors depending on whether you're going out to having someone on sound running your show, whether you're doing it all yourself. If you're doing it all yourself, you could genuinely just have everything mixed. Actually, I think this is what you do, Matt. Have everything mixed in the Voice Live 3 so that your levels are good, all your vocals and effects and all that sort of stuff are how you want them to sound. And then you could just use, if you're in stereo, use stereo out from the Voice Live 3 for guitar and vocal, or use a sorry, my brain just went dead. It's just like, you probably just thought the like internet went down. I froze like, or you could just be sending a mono send to that. The last thing would be, if you don't want to loop your vocals, is getting a mic switcher so that your vocals can come out of the Voice Live 3 into a mic switcher that either goes straight to your desk or goes into the RC300. Yeah, that would just be my thoughts on it. I genuinely haven't really thought about my setup connecting the 2 of them, to be honest. Interesting. But yeah, thanks, team. I like to go vocal out of the Voice Live 3. Okay, sure, yeah. Yeah, mono out. Nice. Thanks, Matt. So yeah, Ezekiel, Matt just fired a comment that's probably useful. But then yeah, the vocal's still going into the mic input on the RC300. Obviously, then you have levels to set individually for mic and guitar as well. Mono mix out of everything you've just been creating. So yeah, good times. Most things, most venues, and this cracks me up actually. I saw it again the other day where this is just my amusement, but I have been guilty of it too. Is guitar signal is a mono signal. It goes into a bunch of guitar effects that are all mono effects. Okay, one jack. We're all still in mono, no panning, no stereo things. But then going into the RC300 as an example, we go in and it's like, well, I forget what it was. There was two outputs somewhere. So it's like suddenly out of the RC300 as an example, it's like, now I'm in stereo. It's like, well, you're not. You've just got the same signal on now two channels. So it amused me because most of these things, when I say they amuse me, it amuses me because I do this stuff all the time. And to be honest, if you watch the channel update video that will come up soon, if you look super closely at the end, last night when I was like all excited rigging this pedal board and into the RC300, I realized that I, because I was in headphones, I had put my two inputs, one being the bass and one being the guitar, into the main outputs of the RC300, and then was like, getting no signal. So I smile when I see other people do it because I'm like, oh, wait, we're all the same. And we do this stuff, and somewhere along the way, it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I've been doing that for ages. Never thought that it might not really be working quite the way I thought. So, yeah, cheers, team. I appreciate all of you. I have to run out because it is nearly 8 o'clock here. But appreciate you all. There is a little channel update going up shortly. I will just upload it now and just launch it live to you all. I've made a list of the little pedals that I'm running. It's pretty much just what was on my old pedal board. So it hasn't been like I've actually taken the time to select, I'm going to have this and this and this, which I'm started making a list on Amazon because that will happen and they'll change. But these are some pedals that I enjoy and have had for ages. Some of them aren't available. They've been updated. And because you're watching here, the delay, the DD3 that I have, I don't really like it. But it's the only delay pedal I have on its own. So, yeah, that's the options. But that will go online. And that's where, if there's something specific that you want to see, if you comment on there, it just means that I can go back to that video and see what's been commented in terms of videos that you'd appreciate. And it means that there's an option for all of you to just kind of put in something that you'd appreciate without having to do the Patreon thing and go down that path. So try to make it kind of accessible and provide some value to you all. And we'll see what happens. It's all a bit of an experiment, like tonight's name of the little session tonight. So yeah, appreciate you all being here. Super good point, Matt. Yeah, stereo rigs are great, love it, but most venues run a mono signal to the main BA. So yeah, absolutely. Cheers, team. Appreciate you all, and we will catch up online. Happy looping, happy creating. See you in the next video or somewhere.